of people that ask me how I cook my kale because I eat it almost every day, or not every day, but several times a week. So I used to think that you had to cook kale for hours and hours, and I used to cook it to death, but I've since learned that it's great if you just saute it. It's super easy. So all I did was add some olive oil to my pan. You can do olive oil or coconut oil. And I stuck some onions in there, and I'm just going to cook them a little bit so they're kind of cooked and tender. And I'm going to add, all I do is add some Himalayan pink salt. Just add a little bit to my onions, and then I'll add a little bit more to my kale. And I have this kale from Costco. You get this big old bag of it for like $5. And this is actually, I think, kale and spinach and Swiss chard. I'm trying to see where it tells me. I think that's what it is. Oh, it's right there. Baby kale, chard, and spinach. It's a great combination, all your super greens. And then I also have just some kale. And so you can cut your onions like on a Sunday or Wednesday, you know, when you're doing meal prep. Have those cut ahead of time. So you just throw them in there because this is just super easy. So I've got my onions, and now once they've sauteed up a little bit and are soft, I'm just going to pile my kale in there. And then I'm going to pile more kale in there. And you want to remember that this is going to cook way down. So it's going to cook to nothing. And I'm going to get my tongs so that I can just toss it around. And sometimes I cook it down a little bit, and then I'll add a little bit more because you can't have too much, in my opinion. So see, I'm just kind of flipping it over, and I'm also going to turn my heat down at this point because otherwise my onions are going to start burning. You can add like a little bit of water if it's getting too hot and dry, or you can add chicken broth or vegetable broth, just to add a little bit in there to keep it moist so that you don't burn your kale or your onions. And so I'm just going to keep tossing it, just like that. And I'm not going to cook them to death. I'm going to just cook them so that they're still bright green, adding a little bit more salt. And that's all I do. That's how I make my greens. You can then add some quinoa to it, which I think I did the other night in one of my picture posts. You can also add pesto is awesome, to add pesto to greens, and then quinoa, and just mix it all up. That's like super, super good. So at this point, see how that's cooked down? So what I do, because you can never have too much, is I add some more to it. So just pile some more on there. Pile it on, pile it on. Can't have too many greens. So you're just going to keep tossing this, and you're not going to overcook it. You're just going to cook until it's wilted down. So basically, so they kind of look like that. You know, you want them to be a little chewy, but not super chewy. So I hope that helps. So all the greens that you see on my plate, that's what I do. So if this video is helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel so you can get more helpful tips.